welcome. Thank you all for attending the press conference. My name is Kurt Erickson, and I'm president of the Virginia-based nonprofit Washington Regional Alcohol Program, or WRAP. WRAP serves as project director of the Commonwealth's Drive Sober, Get Pulled Over campaign, formerly known as Checkpoint Strike Force. And today we're launching the 2023 version of the campaign. I'd like to welcome our honored guests, most notably Virginia Governor Youngkin, today's speakers, of whom you'll hear from momentarily, as well as in the room today, Virginia Secretary of Transportation Shepard Miller, Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security Terrence Cole, and of course the First Lady of Virginia, Suzanne Youngkin. As I said, we're going to be hearing from our speakers shortly, but I first want to quickly introduce to you the Drive Sober, Get Pulled Over campaign. The statewide campaign, now in its 22nd year, is reminding Virginians of the dangers of impaired driving through enforcement and public safety messaging. At WRAP, we're proud to be part of the effort to lower Virginia's drunk driving rates for the last 22 years. In fact, since the inception of Virginia's Drive Sober, Get Pulled Over campaign, alcohol-related traffic fatalities in the Commonwealth have decreased by over 23%, alcohol-related traffic injuries by over 38%, and the number of alcohol-related traffic injuries annually occurring on the Commonwealth roadways have been virtually halved. Drive Sober, Get Pulled Over is a high visibility enforcement campaign aimed at preventing impaired driving and improving safety for all road users through awareness messaging and increased law enforcement presence on the road. Virginia's campaign is supported by research by our local Lake research partners who conduct annual surveys of our target audience, Virginia males ages 21 to 35. Drive Sober, Get Pulled Over's Act Like It award-winning campaign uses a man-baby character who considers irresponsible decisions. But as he and his friend leave the restaurant, a police officer commends the two for getting a safe ride home through a rideshare. Our campaign reminds Virginians that if you're old enough to drink, act like it. Our research shows that this audience consumes messages differently than the broader population. They live online, which is why this year's campaign will build on the success of previous years to reach our audience where they are, watching shows, connecting with friends, reading content, and listening to music. We're using a combination of platforms and tactics to best reach and surround them with our message, which means tools like streaming video commercials, display ads, digital billboards, radio ads, and social advertising on platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook, all which will play a pivotal role in our outreach efforts. Our campaign will also reach Spanish-speaking members of our audience throughout the Commonwealth. Spanish speakers will see the Act Like It creative and digital banner ads, hear the ads on the radio, as well as see ads in bars, on coasters, and window clings, where we've developed additional Spanish placements for this year. I now have the privilege of introducing Virginia Governor Youngkin to officially kick off the partnership between the Drive Sober, Get Pulled Over campaign and his administration. Governor.
Good morning, everyone. And Kurt, thank you again for your amazing leadership and your passion, and it makes such a difference, not just in Virginia, but around the country. So thank you. I'd also like to thank the Virginia DMV for inviting me to speak today, most importantly, because this is a topic that we all have to be fully aware of. It doesn't go away, and therefore we have to fight it every single day. Secretary Cole, Secretary Miller, thank you for your leadership in keeping the Commonwealth safe. I'd also like to thank the First Lady for constantly reminding everyone that we have a role. We have a role as parents, we have a role as mothers and fathers to intervene with our children, to make sure they understand that they should never be drinking impaired or be driving impaired. I want to extend special thanks to the men and women of the DMV, but the men and women of the state police, of all of our law enforcement partners. You see them all up here today. So thank you all. The Washington Regional Alcohol Program, BCU Medical Center, thank you. Thank you. I do not want to hear helicopters landing because we have problems with people drinking and driving. And everybody else who is locking arms to make sure that we understand that it takes all of us to combat impaired driving in the Commonwealth. You see, driving under the influence is illegal. It's illegal. It's irresponsible. And it's entirely avoidable. And that's why we had to all partner together and be committed to celebrate the incredible work that is being done, the incredible work being done around the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign, the work that's being done by the DMV Highway Safety Office teams, the work that's being done by all of our law enforcement partners. We need to make sure that we can confidently ensure that all Virginians leave home and then return safely. Tragically, alcohol-related traffic deaths increased in the United States last year. In Virginia, despite the number of traffic deaths declining during the tenure of the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign, our roadways bore witness to almost 11% increase in DUI fatalities. Because individuals driving under the influence, there were 6,910 automobile accidents in the Commonwealth in 2022. That's a 2% increase over 2021. Among those, more than 4,000 persons were injured. Long-term, Virginia's local law enforcement agencies and contributing partners have done an outstanding job reducing the number of fatalities on the road, as we've just heard. But we, unfortunately, have hit a pocket, and we have got to double down. Last year's numbers indicate that we have so much more work to do. Again, driving under the influence is illegal, it's irresponsible, and it's wholly avoidable. Put it simply, we have no tolerance. We have a zero-tolerance policy for driving while impaired, and we believe that no one should worry about losing a loved one on the road. And that's why our teams here in Richmond and across the Commonwealth are committed to supporting the efforts of law enforcement with the tools and resources that they need to end incidents of impaired driving and to keep our roads safe. The work of our law enforcement officers and the efforts of the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign throughout the remainder of the year will be critical during some of the busiest times, like Labor Day weekend, which is coming up. And so as we come together, as summer draws to a close, and we enjoy a holiday weekend of gathering and being together, let's extend a sense of responsibility. Let's extend a sense of mutual love and respect for one another. As the Drive Sober campaign says, and I'll repeat, if you're old enough to drink, act like it. Because driving drunk is never worth it. So as we head into this weekend, let's shout from the rooftops. Let's extend through every aspect of social media we can. Let's advise loved ones, and particularly those that are younger. If you are old enough to drink, act like it. And I ask that God bless us over the weekend and wrap his hedge of protection around our law enforcement bureaus, and that everyone who gets on the road will arrive safely to their destination. Thank you, and thank you for the amazing work that you all do.
Made a number of introductions to me. This opportunity, the governor mentioned DMV's Highway Safety Office. The director of the Highway Safety Office, John Saunders, is joining us here in the front row as well. Speaking of DMV, it's now my pleasure to introduce Gerald Lackey, the Commissioner of the Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles. Thank you, Kurt. I'm proud to be here to speak today on behalf of one of our partners, RAP, and the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign. DMV's role in this is preventing people from ever getting behind the wheel, shifting that behavior, and it's partners like RAP that we work with to make sure we can achieve that. If we get you behind the wheel, you're going to be dealing with one of the people behind you, one of the law enforcement officials or medical officials. So we really want to keep you out of that position. Now, RAP's an important partner for us, and I'll tell you why. They use data to get into what it requires to shift the behaviors of these drivers. We just heard that it's males between ages of 21 and 35 that are most likely to get behind the wheel drunk. Well, RAP did some research on this and had some numbers that frankly I think were somewhat shocking.
Of 600 different male drivers in the state of Virginia that they surveyed, almost two-thirds admitted, 63% admitted to driving drunk, getting in the car with somebody who was driving drunk, or both. That's incredible. That's a major problem. The other one that's very interesting is nearly 100% of these people, 96% to be specific, said that they know that they should have a plan if they're going out to drink. But less than half of them actually have a plan. Today it's so easy to be able to get from a club or a bar back home without having to get behind the wheel of a vehicle. So I got 3 simple messages. Please, folks, plan ahead. Find an alternative way to get home. Second, if you see a friend that's doing something stupid, speak up and say, hey, there are other options here. And then I think, like all the other speakers, what I'd say is, if you're old enough to drink, gentlemen, please act like it. Now, I have the privilege of introducing our next speaker. I first want to thank all of the folks that are here today, our Virginia traffic safety community, our law enforcement community, our first responders, and our healthcare providers. Thank you. I hope we can make your jobs a little easier by making sure people don't have to come visit you. But I'd like to introduce Dr. Michael Aventanos. He's the director of the Trauma Center at VCU, and he's going to speak to you a little bit about the after effects of this.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucky, for this wonderful introduction, for this. Really thank you, Kurt, and really a privilege to join all of you, especially coming down in this incredible mission that we have, that we experience daily in our level 1 trauma center. So I'm the Chief of Trauma and Acute Care Surgical Services at VCU level 1 trauma center. I'm a trauma surgeon here in the Richmond area, and I and all my colleagues, and the physicians, nurses, surgeons, social workers, coordinators, every level, the whole army of us, have seen countless lives and families severely impacted by drunk driving. So, trauma doctors, nurses, and first responders, again, all injury coordinators, and everyone involved in dealing with the consequences of drinking and driving, like the ones that you also see with me and my team, work tirelessly to save the lives of those involved in alcohol-related crashes. But we can only do so much to repair the damages of impaired driving. The lives we're able to save give little comfort to the families and communities who have already lost loved ones to these crashes. Many of you have no idea, or I cannot tell you what the hardest thing for us, the hardest thing for me as a trauma surgeon, to tell the mom or a dad that their son, their daughter didn't make it, or they're not going to walk again. It's not the operation itself, it's this message, and that's what we're here today to prevent that. It's all preventable. So in our trauma center, we admit more than 4,300 patients yearly, mostly due to motor vehicle crashes, of which almost 1/3 have alcohol in their system. That's 1/3. The most effective way to save lives on Virginia roads is to address the problem and the source. Virginians must do their part by planning a safe ride home if they're drinking. It's simple. Don't get behind the wheel after drinking. Last year, 274 persons were killed on Virginia roadways in alcohol-related crashes, which account to over 1/4 of Virginia's total traffic fatalities. To put in perspective, there's 274 families whose loved ones didn't make it home because someone made the mistake of drinking and driving. Impaired driving is 100% preventable, and we all must work hard to stop it. It is our responsibility to be engaged in these efforts that affect us all. So thank you to everyone for coming today and for your attention on this important issue. Now I want to hand things over to the other folks you see behind me who don't want to see after tonight, after drinking. And these are law enforcement or colleagues in this effort. Let me welcome Virginia State Police Superintendent, Colonel Gary Suttle, to the podium.
Thanks, Doctor, for that inspiring message here. It was ready to go.
Good morning. So thank you once again for inviting us back for a most important initiative. It's my pleasure to join you all here today for this most important traffic and public safety campaign. And as the superintendent of the Virginia State Police, I take the State Police Commission to keep the Commonwealth and Virginians safe as our greatest priority and responsibility. Traffic safety is a huge part of that, with the core focus of reducing alcohol-related crashes on our highways. That's why I'm extremely proud of our troopers, our deputies, our police officers who are going to be participating in this campaign, Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over. When people choose to drink and getting underneath the wheel after they've been drinking, they risk their lives, but not only their lives, but countless others. Virginians statewide can expect to see us out in full force moving forward over the Labor Day holiday weekend as we seek to apprehend impaired drivers through DUI checkpoints and saturation patrols. This year, specifically,